people. Welcome to LSTV Let's Talk, where we get real, reflect, and rise. Today, we're talking about something that touches all of us: adversity. My guest, co host, and I will be sharing a challenge that changed our perspective. And I want to hear yours too. I'm Latasha Scurry, your host. Grab your coffee, settle in, and let's talk. So, this week on LSTV Let's Talk, I'm joined by someone who's resilient and insight will leave you inspired. Meet Shay Yorker, Shay Robertson, an author, educator, wife, mother, and now grandmother who faced adversity head on and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to share her truth. From personal setbacks to powerful comebacks, Shay brings a story that reminds us all growth happens in the storm. Welcome. Hi, Miss Shay. How are you?
Hello. I am well. It is well with my soul. Thank you for having me tonight. And you forgot to mention I am a certified life coach.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
right.
so
Yes. Yes.
adversity has really developed me into who I am today.
Awesome. Well, guys, while she is sitting, settling in for our conversation tonight, I'm going to bring on my co host and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I am Lena Davis, the co host for tonight. Looking forward to giving some input here.
Yes. So we're going to just go ahead and dive into those questions because it's real conversation. So we're diving into something real, overcoming adversity and finding motivation when life gets tough. Because let's be honest, we've all had those moments where the storm felt stronger than our spirit. Am I right?
Yes.
So, what's a challenge? And I propose this to both of my guests and my co hosts. What is a challenge you've overcome that's changed your perspective on life?
So I would say adversities that I've overcome that has changed my life. Let's start back at 16 becoming a teen mom.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
um Being a teen mom, that really that changed my life, and in a nutshell, like I felt like God was saving me because I was headed down a path that he had not designed for me, and
Okay.
that was one way that he changed my life. Like that was one way that he slowed me down and got a rain
Mm,
got a rain on me
yep.
because I had other plans and ideas for me. And since this is
Okay.
a grown people show, right? This is a grown people show.
Yes,
It
ma'am. This
is.
is
It
you.
I
is.
my plan was to be a thug, right? My plan was to help get that dope money. That was my plan.
Okay. Okay. And
Um,
see, that's real
but
talk. And people probably don't
yeah,
know that. That's real talk because I didn't know
yeah,
that.
yeah. That was my plan. I wanted to be that girl that move stuff and move around the city and the country and all of that. Kids was not in my plan.
Mhm. Okay.
I didn't want any kids. But God said,
How
I
many
got
do we
something else
have
for
now?
you to do.
He needed to slow you down a little bit.
Real quick, because I was headed fast.
How
Mhm.
many kids do you have?
So I have 4 children.
Four children. Okay.
Yeah,
And so that plan did include children, but God said, okay, I have a different plan for you.
right, right.
Wow. As many years as I've known you, which is going
Uh-huh.
on 12 or 13 now,
Yeah.
never knew that thug life was there.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that
Oh
thug
yeah.
life was there.
Uh-huh.
But it's something I have to say. It's something relatable
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
because I'm from New York and Brooklyn, New York at that. That's not an uncommon thing to
Mhm.
think.
Yeah.
Grow up in rough neighborhoods. You
Yeah.
think you about that life, and
Mhm.
you really not. You're really not. You're trying hard, but you're really not.
Yes.
And I get it. I get it. So how did thug life work out for you?
It was actually fun. It really was, honestly. Like in my mind, I didn't want the cares or responsibility of being a parent because I watched my mom,
Okay.
right? And she gave and 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 gave. And I didn't want, I'm not going to call it a burden, but I saw my mom and I didn't want that. I didn't want to be responsible, I guess. I just
Okay.
want to live freely.
Okay.
And
Can I
that
ask you a
smoking,
question?
drinking, and hanging out, that was fun.
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry if I cut you off. Can I go back to something you just said?
Hmm.
You said, I don't want to call it a burden. But did you really want to call it a burden? You just felt like it wasn't going to sound right.
No, because I'm one of them people. I like to have hard conversations, and I
Mhm.
actually say what I mean and mean what I say. And
Okay.
Yes, she
skirt,
does.
Okay. Because
but
I know that women tend to say, not really say what they want for fear of people going to judge them or people
Mhm.
going to have
oh,
something to
no,
say. And we talking hot and live tonight.
right,
And I'm just like, if you wanted to say a burden, say it. Just say it.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, because I can't say she never made us feel like a burden. It was a
Yeah.
responsibility. I didn't want the responsibility. As a parent, you have to be responsible, and I didn't want to be responsible. I
Oh.
wanted to be responsible for just me.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel you on that one. Being a parent, whether you're a teen parent or an adult parent, that's hard. Parenting is hard, and
Right.
I, Lena knows my struggles. I know her struggles, and I'm struggling with something right now because your kids, they never cease to amaze you with the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
And as if you've done all you could with no handbook, because there's no handbook that says this is the, if there was a handbook that had it all in it, I would have written it or I would have read it that says
Right.
that I can get this right. But sometimes when you even try your hardest, it's still not right. And so
Mm-hmm.
I get you when you feel that you say that responsibility piece, because I did the best that I could, and I find out it's still not good enough. It's still not good enough. And losing my mom, and I don't want to say at an early age because she died 8 years ago. That's not an early age for me. I'm still in my 40s, but she died at a pivotal point in my life. She died right
Mm-hmm.
after I had cancer, and I'm still raising my young girls, and I needed
Mm-hmm.
advice from somebody, and she wasn't there. So I think that's the adversity that I can share. As we're talking about parenting, you don't want the responsibility. You didn't want the responsibility at a young age. Shit, I didn't want it at an old age because sometimes it just feels like you spinning your wheels and you
Right.
doing everything that you feel like you're doing it right, and it's still wrong. It's still
Yeah.
wrong.
But it's wrong by whose measures?
Right.
Your kids,
Right.
by
Mhm.
your kids' measures. They're looking at people around them and they're comparing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a comparison because I don't have the same experiences that person
Right.
has, and they don't have the same experience I have. So don't
Right.
compare me. Let's just go with what we have and live. Make the best of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel you when you say, as you don't want to be a young parent, hey, I didn't want to be an old parent. Not doing it this
Yeah.
way.
But see, that's where things change because social media now has
Mm,
such a huge impact on our young adults. Because my oldest son is 28,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So sometimes I'll be like, dang, I got a whole 28-year-old
Yeah.
at 45.
Mm,
So it's like we grew up together.
mm.
Yeah.
He really my little brother. I just gave birth to him because we grew up together. We went through some
I didn't
stuff
think of it
together.
that way.
Right. And that was it. Y'all went through some stuff together like y'all was brother and sister because
Yeah.
he was
Right,
always there.
Yeah.
right. So it's like now I don't discredit any of my other kids, but it's like he really was the one. And then I went through so much to give birth to him. And
Mhm.
that's why I tell him all the time, like, God has a plan for you. You were strategically placed in
Right.
me to be your mama, for one, to slow me down, and God has a call on your life.
Ooh, girl.
Because the enemy been trying to take him out before he even got here.
Okay.
Mm.
And
So,
then before,
do you
go
mind
ahead.
sharing like some of the what you're saying? Because I don't know the heart. What was so difficult
Oh yeah,
here?
I'm very I'm transparent. I would share. So
Okay.
when I first found out I was pregnant, I tried to make myself miscarry. That ain't
Oh.
happened. So I got to be I was my junior year. I had him the summer before my senior year. So my junior year in summer school, they had me in summer school so I could be ahead of the game. So when I return back to school, I won't be behind. So we were at summer school one day, and these boys, they were playing. And this boy, his name is Steve. I won't say his last name, but he turned around and he ran from the other boy, and he ran dead into me. And in that moment, I didn't feel anything. He hit my stomach really hard. I didn't feel anything. That night I was home, or that day I was home, and I was combing my niece's hair, and I got this really sharp pain. So my mom had to rush me to the hospital. So from that day, like in June, to when they kept me in July, I was in and out of the hospital. Complications. So what happened is, and I found out later before I had him, when the boy ran into me, he damaged my placenta.
Mm.
So July, the end of July, like the 20, maybe the 19th, 20th, or something like that, because they couldn't get everything regulated, they put me in a hospital. So I was on strict bed rest from July 20th something to I actually went home from the hospital with a baby.
Mm.
How long was that?
So I had him August 23rd.
Ooh, a month. Ooh.
Wow.
So imagine being 16 years old in a hospital on complete bed rest. You can't sit to the table. You can't take a shower unless someone in there. You can only sit up for 10 minutes max. It's
Mm.
right side, left side, laying down all day for over 30 days at
Mm.
16.
Mm-mm.
So that could have took me out in its own,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Depression,
Yes.
anxiety, like the walls closing in on me.
Yes.
It was it was a lot for a
Okay.
16-year-old.
Yes, it was.
Then um that's when they said my placenta was damaged. He wasn't getting the proper nourishment. He was small. His lungs was underdeveloped. All this kind of stuff. So they said I had to get an amniocentesis. Y'all know what that
Mm.
long needle
It
about like
hurts.
that.
I've heard
Yeah.
it hurts. Okay, girl. Woo, keep
So I
going.
had to get one of those. So then they had to give me steroid shots to hurry up and develop his lungs because
Mhm.
he wasn't growing inside of me. So they had to get him out of me.
Mm.
Winter induced to do an induction. They induced me for 3 days before they said, okay, we're losing them both. Let's do a cesarean. 16. So I had to go through an emergency cesarean because his heart dropping, hit my heart drop. Like at that point, I literally had given up. I felt my life leaving me because I had given up. And the doctor was like, we got to get him out of here. So they rushed me into surgery where I had to have a cesarean. So I had a cesarean, and I had him August 23rd at 9:45 p.m.
Oh, my husband's birthday.
Yeah, they share the same birthday. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Wow.
I do remember
Yeah.
them having the same birthday. Wow, that's a lot for a 16-year-old.
Right.
That's a lot.
Right.
And he's
Jeez.
what, 28 now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's called purpose. He was supposed to be here.
Right. Right.
And see,
He was 4 pounds and 8 ounces.
and she
Mm.
has that story where it turned out great because he's
Yeah.
grown and
Yeah.
I've seen him. All her kids are beautiful. So and then I have the same opposite story where I'm an adult having a baby premature and he passes away, and I'm thinking in my mind, what have I done wrong? What
Mm-hmm.
did I do in this world that I really blame myself, but I also said to myself, the reason I didn't call which my mother-in-law was an RN, would have told me everything to do. But I felt in my heart, my mom is strong. She's had 4 kids. My mother-in-law has had 3. Why can't I have one? So I would try to do it alone. And that's what messed me up. By trying to
Mm-hmm.
do that alone, if I had just made one phone call, my son probably would be here today. And here you are, a 16-year-old battling this by yourself, and you did it.
Why was I by myself? Because my mama was by my side from beginning
Right,
to end.
right. But I'm saying mine would have been had I just picked up the phone and said,
Had you
hello.
just picked up the phone, yeah. But see,
Just
that's the thing about the enemy. He tries to keep us silent, and if he can keep us silent, he keep us bound.
and he
Yeah,
won.
yeah,
He
Yeah.
actually won.
yeah.
And I beat myself up for so long about and I said, I know people around me having abortions and don't want kids, and I want this kid. Why can't I have this kid? I
Mm,
went through every emotion possible. And I beat myself up for years. I couldn't even talk about it without crying. and
mm,
and I felt like I felt defeat. I felt like a failure, like a total failure. I was like, why couldn't I have done this? Why couldn't I have done this? I did a lot of soul searching, and I blamed myself every day until I had to go talk to somebody to say, it's not your fault.
So let me ask you this. Because you spend so much time blaming yourself and beating you up, and I know I'm not the host and probably shouldn't be asking questions, but
No,
I'm
we're
gonna ask
having
you.
a conversation.
Okay, perfect.
right, we're just talking.
Conversation. It don't matter
But
about your
I'm
mom.
waiting
Let me ask
patiently
you
for my
this.
for my turn. I'm waiting patiently.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay.
having a conversation. Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
So all that time you spent blaming yourself and beating yourself up, did you ever take time to grieve?
Mm,
No, because I unexpectedly a year later became pregnant again. And
But you
so
still never grieved the
I never
loss of your
grieved. I
son.
never, and then makes matters worse. Where I buried him, he's no longer there. So the headstone has been moved. We can't find my child, and so that added even another layer of hurt, another layer of guilt. And then I finally, about 6, 7 years ago, right after my mom passed away, and my dad started getting sick, is when I realized I gotta let it go. I gotta let it go. It took years. It took years. And I remember the day like it was yesterday, because Chase is 26, so he would have been 27. I remember it like it. I mean, every detail vivid. I probably can't remember what I had for lunch on Sunday, but I remember every detail of that. And then what it makes matters worse is I called my mother-in-law first. I called my 2 best friends. I could not call my mother because I felt like a failure. And then the best friend, one of the best friends that I called, comes home on Friday and find her husband passed away, had a heart attack
Oh
this
wow.
Friday.
so I have a more on the lines of a similar situation between the two, and I would say I first got pregnant. I didn't know I was pregnant with twins, and I had a miscarriage.
Mm.
And by the time they finished doing whatever they were doing to get everything out, the doctor said, well, there's a strong possibility you won't be able to have kids again.
Mm.
So I was like, okay. But I still was on birth control. My son, who is now 33,
Mhm.
I was on birth control and he's still here.
Mhm.
So he was a full surprise that they said I couldn't have kids. Uh, I'm on birth control just in case. And he still got here.
Mhm.
But the difference is, after he turned, well, between the time of birth and him turning 1 years old, I went through severe postpartum depression.
Mhm.
And I didn't have that motherly support to say, hey, this is what you got to do. This is how you're going to go through this. I didn't have that. And the reason why was because I became homeless by the time my son turned one.
You
Mm.
became what?
Homeless. I have that on my list of experiences that I've been homeless with a child. So resilience, I could write a book about it.
I
Just,
did.
just, uh, just. You said you did write a book about it.
Yes, yes.
Well, look, I might need to join you because when I tell you I got some, I came back from stories.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes.
And just how God works and puts people right in your lineup to
Mm-hmm.
get you through stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing
Yeah.
because that story is going to take a little longer than the 45 minutes we got on here tonight. Just know that from where those stories come from to where I am now, that was nothing but God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nothing but God. And I also say I joke about it now, but it wasn't funny then. I said the Lord knew I couldn't handle two kids at one time at the age of 21.
Twins.
I had two at 21.
Yeah.
Ooh, you got twins.
No.
No,
Oh,
I just had another son.
Yep.
But what I was going to say to you, Latasha, here's another story of adversity. So, fast forward, I think I was 22 when I got pregnant with my third son. And long story short, he had complications. So, I'm already a mom of two boys,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly healthy boys. Um, Third son, complications. So the doctor says to me, you can terminate or you can go through with this pregnancy. If you go through with this pregnancy, as soon as you have him, we're going to have to take him into open heart surgery.
mm,
We can't give you a percentage of if he's going to make it or not. 22. And I looked at my mama because that's my sidekick. My mama always there. I thank God for my mom. Like, that's my first best friend. Like, she's always there. And I looked at her and he's still talking. The doctor is still talking, but I can't understand the words that's coming out of his mouth because you just told me I got to kill my son or have my son and he still might die.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know God then like I know God now. I didn't have that kind of faith then to know that he was going to be all right. I didn't have that kind of understanding of God's miracles and his wonders and what he can do then. I didn't have that. So I had a week to decide, do I terminate or do I have him? So, and outside of making that decision, life was lifing.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided I was going to terminate because I couldn't bear carrying him to what I was 6 months. So I couldn't bear carrying him 3 more months. And then they take him to open heart surgery and they come back and tell me he didn't make it. So I decided to terminate at 6 months. If anybody know anything about terminating at 6 months, that's a whole baby you gotta have.
mhm,
Ain't no miscarrying. Like, it ain't. It's a whole baby you gotta go through a whole labor with. And I had to go through that labor by myself because he couldn't help me. So there was no pain medicine because pain medicine stopped the contractions, and the contractions is what help you deliver.
mhm,
So I'm telling you all this for a purpose. So I couldn't. This was a story I could never tell without crying for years. So I had to have my baby. Long story short, I had him, and I went home that night. I wanted to go home. They told my mom if she promised to stay with me, look after me, I could go home, whatever. So I went home. That night I was sleeping. I heard my baby crying. So I jump up and I'm looking for him everywhere. So my mom was sleeping in the bed with me, and she woke up and she was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "The baby crying. You don't hear him. The baby's crying." And she looked at me, and when I looked at her, I remembered I didn't bring a baby home,
Oh gosh.
and I just bawled. I just cried and I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. So for years, when I say years, for years, I dealt with his death. And I felt those same things that you felt. It's my fault. And I should have did this, and I should have did that, and I should have trust God, and I remember about his 13th birthday, I think it was. And I was crying and going through the motions because every year I just would shut down, crying, going through the motions. And I promise you, I heard my baby say, "Don't cry for me. I'm okay." And that particular birthday, I stopped crying out of sorrow, out of my mistakes and what I did wrong, and da 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 da. Few years ago, probably like 5, because he would have been 20. This would have been his Michael Jordan year. He would have been 23. Um, so about 5 years ago, I was going through some deliverance and healing, because healing is in levels. And that was one of the things that came up that I needed to heal from. And as I was praying and I was talking to God about it and I was crying, I heard God say, no, I didn't. I heard my son say, but you never grieved the loss of your son. And when I grieved the loss of my son, like, I cried because I was sad because he died. I cried because I felt like I didn't make the right decision. I cried because it was my fault. And if I would have did this and if I would have did, but the moment I grieved the loss of my son, like,
You stopped
I
crying.
grieved, I grieved his loss. And then that very next year, I started to celebrate him.
Mm.
I said, I'm no longer gonna not celebrate him as if he wasn't here. So every year on his birthday, I get cake, I get ice cream, I listen to music, we have cake and ice cream. And it took a little while to get my kids on board, but they on board now. So every year for his birthday, I celebrate him. And so it took what was sad and give it joy. Because it's no longer that he didn't exist, because he did exist. Right. He was a whole baby.
Right.
Right. So it's not ignoring him, it's acknowledging him and honoring him, even though he's not here with us.
Right.
He still was mine.
Right.
So that's what I do, cake and ice cream and have a party like if I was one of my other kids.
That's incredible.
So the question that I have to you in that process, acknowledging him, celebrating him, what is your practice for self-care in that whole experience from the time it took place to the time you realized what you needed to do in order to feel better about it?
So the first thing I had to do was confess, because for the longest time I never wanted to say that I terminated him, because he had a weak heart and he was leaving me anyway. So it was much easier for me to say I lost him than to say I terminated him. Yeah. And when I came to grips with my truth, that was when my first level of healing started.
Okay.
And I had a friend.
Was it embarrassment that you were feeling to not want to say
that I terminated him?
Yes.
I don't want to say.
Or guilt?
It was guilt.
Guilt.
Okay. Yeah, it was guilt. Okay. Yeah. And so
you said
once I confessed it, I was able to deal with it on a different level. So it happened in levels. It wasn't a one time,
okay,
oh, I did this, now I'm healed. No. It happened in levels.
Okay. But what's important to understand though, like, so just in case there is somebody that's watching this that's going through the same thing or who has experienced this before. It's okay to go through your steps of process.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
okay to acknowledge that guilt is real, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to take a moment or two to grieve.
Right.
But the key is be mindful not to get stuck there.
Right.
Because when you get stuck, life happens right past you. And and
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know how to pull out of it. And sometimes the
Mm-hmm.
people around you don't know how to pull you out of it. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people don't really understand the process of grieving. Is like there's not really a timeline. Just pay attention to the symptoms and the sign that okay, maybe you going too deep. We might need to seek a little help.
And that's what it
Yeah.
took
You
for
know,
me.
the body has memory too, because some years I didn't even know why I was sad or why I was emotional or why I was feeling away or why I was. And then when I look at the calendar, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
that's why.
it was coming up.
But when I start to heal from it, when I start to deal with the guilt and deal with the hurt and deal with the everything that was attached to it, now it's like, okay, I'm looking forward to it. Now, what we gonna do this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
But you
like
know,
you, and go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
One thing, and all adversity though that I've been through, that was one why I became a certified life coach, because I became what I needed. Right,
Mhm.
my mama was always there, but
I like that. She
she
became
wasn't
what
she
you
wasn't
needed.
100% of what I needed, because there were certain things you don't want to go and talk to your mama about,
Right.
Right.
because it's still my mama. Even
Yes.
Right.
though we best, that's still my mama. So
Yes.
I tried to become what I needed for other young women, so I don't see them left behind. So they
Okay.
don't have to be angry and they don't have to be upset and they don't have to, the only feeling they, because I know one time for me, the only feeling I would allow myself to feel was anger.
Mm.
That was the best. That was the only feeling or emotion I would allow myself to feel.
And right
But I
now
had
you're
to
in a
learn how to
position
feel.
right now
Right.
you're in a position to get to those people who may be experiencing the same thing and you can come at them from a place of I've been there.
Yes.
I
Right.
know what
Yes.
you're going through.
And
I
Mm-hmm.
can
so
speak to
with
you on the level of experience
with
and
Mm-hmm.
all
still
of that
connect with you. Yeah.
being said, how did you begin to heal? Thank you for joining. If you're just coming in, and please just go ahead and chime in the chat room. I see more people are joining us. Just go ahead and put your questions in the chat or your comments. You don't even have to say a question. Just comment and join in the conversation. Thank you for joining. But how did when did the healing begin though? You said one, there was you had to talk about it and forgive yourself over the guilt, and then two, um it was more focusing on how how you viewed it. So what was that final chapter that says I can move on?
When I grieved,
So that was the final chapter. Okay.
when I actually grieved the loss of my son, I was able to move on.
Okay. Did people see a change in you?
Yeah, people see a change in me, because that wasn't the only thing. That was another. So when it happened, it was another drop into the anger bucket,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So growing up, when you met me, I was angry. Growing up, like, just from life, and like from 16 to probably 30, I was angry,
Okay.
right? And I have a friend, Shaquana. You remember Shaquana?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Read. Let's read.
so Miss Reed. So God send people that you need, like we talked about earlier.
Yep.
And he told her to befriend me. And she
Okay.
said, I'm not befriending her. That girl mean. And he kept telling her to befriend me. And she did. She was obedient and she befriended me.
Okay.
And we started to talk and we became closer. And the conversations that we would have and the things we would do and talk about, she was the one that kind of nudged me to say, okay, it's time to start healing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's about that circle, right?
Yeah. Yes.
It's about the people that you have close to you, that's talking to you, that's whispering to you, that's walking with you, that's going to hold you accountable. Because
Mm-hmm.
even in all that healing, she held me accountable. Even when I wanted to retreat because it hurt too bad, she
Yep.
held me accountable.
Yep. Yep.
So once the healing started, God said, write a book. Who, Lord?
Yeah. I was there. I've
So,
seen your journey.
so when I start to write my book, Lost, Pain, and Finding Peace,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the healing really started.
Repeat the name of the book.
Lost, Pain, and Finding Peace.
And is this on Amazon?
Yes.
Okay. I will post it in the descriptions when we're done, guys, so that you can grab a copy of it. Um, she is giving her testimony live. It's in the book, but she's giving it live too. And these are some things that I did not know. You think you know somebody very
Right.
well, and then there's still things that are hidden that we just don't know. And our life
That's why you
changes.
got to buy the book.
Right, right, right. And sometimes you just have to rethink the process of what you're going in so that you can start healing. Some people can't heal because they can't rethink the process. They
Right.
they they
Right.
want to just, like I did, beat myself over the head. I should be able to do this. Why couldn't I? So I had to find strength, and it sounds like you found strength from somewhere. And then it doesn't always come from a relative. It doesn't always
No.
come from us. It's an outside source. And that
Mhm.
for you was Miss Reed, who said, "Hey, girl, stop beating yourself up, and you can do this."
So before Ms. Reed came along, though,
Mhm. Thank you for
my
joining. Hey,
cousin,
you can share your comments in the chat too. Thank you for joining. More people are coming in. Go ahead.
my cousin, um, my husband's cousin's wife, makes her
Uh-huh.
my cousin, right? She was the first one, though. Her name is Lauren. She was the
Okay.
first one to say, "Hey, let's talk about this," because I had
Okay.
never told the story of my son. I had
Okay.
never talked about it. I had never. It was like the one hidden thing I would never. I was not ready to share with anybody.
Okay.
And we went to Rolette Park and we sat on the bench and we sat there for a good 30 minutes because she was
Mm-hmm.
like, whenever you ready.
Okay.
And the first time I told the story, I probably did more crying than talking.
Okay.
I don't know. But each time I told the story, each time I talked about it, each time I healed more
Okay.
and more and more. So it was from conversation, it was from talking about it.
Okay.
Um, what caused me to start healing.
So how did the book come about? What was the one thing that said I needed to write a book?
Mm-mm, I ain't say that. So let me tell you what happened. So years ago, God told me to write a book, right? I've always questioned if I heard God. That's just always been a thing. I've always questioned it. And God told me to write a book. And I was like, who? He said, you write a book. And I said, about what? And he said,
Mhm.
your life. And I said, nah, Jesus, I'm good.
He must
So,
have spoke louder because you wrote the book.
so I was talking to Miss Reed about me writing a book. Shaquan, it's so funny. It sounds funny when I say Miss Reed. I was talking to Shaquan about writing a book. So she started writing her book. So Shaquan wrote her book, finished her book, and published her book, and I'm still writing. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to be doing it like that. So she had a book signing, and no, she didn't. She had a round table. I went to her book signing, but she had a round table after it. And her friend was there. That's not my friend. Stephanie,
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie Allen, which is my
Mm-hmm.
publisher. And we was talking and stuff, and God said, "That's your publisher." Who, Jesus? I'm that girl. I got questions.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Stephanie. So I told, when we was leaving, I said, God told me to write a book and you're my publisher. And she said, okay, let's get it done.
Hmm.
How long
So
did it
I
take
was
you?
like, about 7 years.
Oh, really?
Because I'm hard headed. Absolutely. Absolutely. About 7 years.
And I
Um,
bet you if within that last year when you finally said, okay, Lord, I'm gonna do this, it happened so fast it made your head spin.
Yeah.
probably the last two.
Mm.
The last 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, it was just the stuff like, what do you want me to put in there? And the stuff that he had me put in there was so personable, I didn't want to share.
Okay.
But in the process of writing it, I healed. In the
Okay.
process of writing it, I became vulnerable. In the
Okay.
process of
Good.
writing it, I learned how to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't change anything about it.
Okay. Your life
I
story
wouldn't
was
change
written
anything.
before you know before you got here. You know that, right? That
Right.
story has
Right.
always been written. God just helped you to put it on paper. But it was already
Right.
written. Everything that happens after this conversation tonight is already been written. God is just revealing it to us. It's already
Yeah.
been
Right.
written.
Right.
So on amongst all the stuff that you've told us, how do you stay motivated? What structures do you have in place? What people, what things keep you sane? Ladies, both of you.
So I'm gonna let Lena go first. I've been
Mm.
talking a lot.
Oh, it's okay.
What keeps you sane
Mm-hmm.
is no longer feeling the need to hold in
Mm,
those past hurts, those transgressions, those
mm-hmm,
um, things that had you stuck.
mm-hmm,
No longer feeling the need to hold on to it.
mm-hmm,
So like there's things that I can tell you now that there was a moment where I was homeless with a 1 year old.
mm,
There was times where I couldn't talk about it.
right.
I can tell you there was a time when I was put in front of a room. I call myself volunteering at the homeless shelter for women, the battered women. I was going to serve food and I was happy doing it
Mm-hmm.
until somebody put me on the floor and said, you got a story? Tell them a story. And I heard this lady say, she can't tell us nothing. She ain't never been homeless before. And I was like, ooh, so that's what you put me in front of these people for to tell them, Lord? Like, really? You got
Mm,
me out here getting ready to tell these people my business. That was supposed to be a secret.
mm,
But
Hmm.
what I learned was if I get to tell my story, I ain't got to worry about nobody else telling it for me.
right.
And
Absolutely.
Right.
that's where your peace comes from.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's where your peace comes from. So when you get to a point in your life where you're able to tell your own story naked and unafraid, you win every time.
Yep.
You will win every time.
What I'm trying to say, clock that.
Clock it.
I used to think that strength came from never breaking down. That was my
Mm-mm.
problem. I always used to think that I had to be strong for everybody. I could never cry. I could never let anybody see me cry. And I would cry in secret because I needed to be strong. I needed to be that lion, that Leo. I needed to always have courage. And the truth be told, I am probably the most cowardly person you have ever met
Girl,
because
I'll snot and cry in a minute. Face flat on the floor, everything.
I'm cowardly. But what I am not is I'm cowardly, but I'm not a coward,
Right.
if that makes sense. Because I will come at you if you make me come at you. I don't want to come at you. So I hide and run from things that appear that I need to be strong about, I run from it, because if I have to come out and be strong, sometimes it comes off very arrogant.
Mm.
It comes off forceful. And all I'm doing is protecting myself. That's all I'm doing. And when I come out crazy, I feel like I've been rejected.
Mm.
So that's when I come at people crazy, when I feel like I've been rejected.
So let me ask you this. Why do you feel like you got to protect yourself when it's God's job to protect you?
Mm.
Because I've always, you got to know my background a little bit. This is a different story. It's the upbringing from coming from a little country place.
Mm.
And the way my dad raised us, it was business first, pleasure later. I don't care. You can have all the pleasure in the world, but you better handle your business first. And so he put fear in us instead of love. My mom had to come up with the background with the love. So we were always coming from a place of fear with him. He always did and said things that were mean, to break you down, to control you. And it was only because he was a little man. He had these giant guys, these giant sons. So he used fear as the tactic to control them and us and my mom.
Mm.
So with that fear, you learn to not speak out. You learn to not go for it. And then when you did and somebody rejected you, oh my God, it was the worst feeling in the world for me. Because my mom told me I could do anything, but that was so far and few between, because she was always worried about my dad. She was always worried about what he was doing, and was he coming home tonight? And when he come home, was he going to be sober? Those type of things. And so there was very little conversation with us. We knew she loved us because of the whatever she did. She cooked, she cleaned, she made sure our bellies were full. We had lights, everything that you're supposed to do as a parent, except for say, I love you. So without her saying, I love you physically out of her mouth, rejection, I hate it when somebody rejects me. So sometimes I would just go into a shell. I remember being in 11th grade and sabotaging my GPA because I was sick of people expecting me to be one Miss Goody Two Shoes or always the smart kid. I didn't know my first non-A came in the 11th grade. I made A's all the way from kindergarten to 11th grade. And I self-sabotaged because there were people that I knew were smarter than me, but I didn't want to compete with them because I didn't want to be rejected. I didn't want to be number two. I didn't want to be number three. So it was easier for me to back off. And when I dropped to number 12 from being number three, my mama about lost her stuff. Okay. And then it was too hard for me to get back up. I went back to number 7, but that was me self-sabotaging because of the way I was brought up. And nobody knew this. Nobody knew this. And finally, my mom just said, what in the world is going on with you? And I had to tell her, because one thing I didn't do was lie to my mom. And I had to tell her. She said, you did what? And she looked at me. She said, I never knew kids didn't like you. She said, I thought you was popular. I was popular. But they didn't like me because I said whatever I wanted to say when I needed to say it, because I didn't want them to hurt me. And so everybody used to be saying, oh, that's Tasha Bird. That's Tasha Bird. That's just how she is. No, I was guarding myself because my parents didn't teach us how to not guard ourselves. You know what I'm saying? There was no conversation.
So you was trauma raised.
Yes. So.
And now it's time to come from under that.
Yeah, but I still do it. I will let people say what they need to say. And before I say something crazy, I just walk away. Because if I say what I needed to say, it's coming out explosive. So I've had several instances in my adult life where I just let people, and to them it looked like I was a coward. No, I was trying to not beat your ass. Okay. I was
So, and
trying
that's
to
what I'm saying. So it is. My mom used to always tell me, she'd say, "Girl, you stay on good," and I never really understood what she meant until she told me. Like she said, "I stay on go." Like I already got the good. I just need the O. So, and,
that's crazy. I love
and
it.
Oh, that's a
but
good one.
and
That's a
that
good
was
one.
me, and I didn't realize it. But she told, like, my mama always was the one that told me stuff. Like she told me when I was 25, she was like, "I'm gonna buy you a car tag that say evil, mean, wicked, and nasty." It because she said that's who I was, right?
Oh my
My mama
goodness.
has never like candy coded nothing for me, so I get it. But I have gotten to a place where I'm not always on go. And
Mhm.
that's why I said you was trauma raised. So once you start to heal from all of that stuff, you do just kind of because now even my kids be like, huh,
Mhm.
because I don't respond to stuff like I used to.
Right, right,
Mhm.
right. But
Yep.
you know
For
what?
one,
I think that part too, that you don't respond to things the way you used to, because I'm the same, is that now I've learned some things just ain't worth my energy like that anymore.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to get to that point where some things are just not worth your energy. And if you've ever had an older woman school you and say, pick your battles,
Mhm.
I didn't know what that meant.
Mhm.
Pick your battles? Okay, whatever. Now I know how to pick my battles. Because
but I got a baby just like me. My middle son
Which
is
one is that?
just like me.
Is that
on
Marcus?
good, he's on good, or he
He
got the
on
hold
good.
up.
No, he on good
Is that
all the
My
time.
Quavis?
Huh?
Is that my Quavis?
No, he's the oldest. He
Okay.
you gotta push and push and push and push, and the other one be done tore up whatever. It's like, well, I
Hey,
mean,
we are
he
getting
just
ready to
like
wrap
me.
this up one, ladies, because we've gone over the long time. But you know what? It's because we needed to have said it. We need to
Yes.
have said everything. I think even there was healing in this conversation.
Yeah.
It was healing in this conversation because there's a lot of things I didn't know about you, but I
Mm-hmm.
also could relate to them.
Right.
I'm sitting here going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And with that being said, I hope there's somebody out there that this resonated with because we don't have to be on good all the time. Okay. We
Right.
just don't. And I had to learn that. Even now at 53 years old, I feel I've learned to let some things go, like cooking. I got up and cooked every day of their lives for as long as I could. And now I'm just like, you eat if you want to. You, I have to give myself permission to be on pause. And I did not give
Mm-hmm.
myself permission to be on pause. And rest is not quitting, it's preparation. It's not
Mhm.
quitting. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to think that if I sat down and take a nap, I'm quitting on my family. I'm quitting on me. I'm quitting on everybody. And that's just not true. It's not a true statement. So
I
rest
got
is
two
okay,
questions.
ma'am.
I got two questions.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
you said you felt like you were quitting. So how can you pour from an empty cup? Because if you never rest, you never replenish. So how were you able to pour from an empty cup all these years? Right? If you wasn't good for you, how you was good for them? That's one. And then two, your children are very grown adults,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You poured into them, you raised them, you given them everything that you had in you from
Yep.
the time they were born to today.
Yep.
Latasha Scurry, it is time for Latasha Scurry to live for Latasha Scurry. You
Which
have
is,
raised
yep.
your children.
Yes. Yes, I
Okay,
have.
pumpkin,
I hear
you
you.
raised your children.
I hear you. But as mothers, you still like, even to if they 60 and I'm 90, I still feel like I gotta raise them. I still like
Mm-mm.
I gotta be there for them. And that's
That,
me letting go. And I'm letting go more and more. I'm letting go because I realize that I've done everything like you said, I possibly could do. If
Well,
if
I'm gonna
there's
give
this
got a
I'm
here
gonna
piece
is
give
of
something
good
for
or
two.
you.
bad, that's on them.
I'm gonna give
This hill
two
mama right
also.
here, I be quick to say, my baby 20. I'm done.
My baby 23.
I'm gonna give two also. One is forums like this where women can come and sit and just talk about hard conversations.
Hmm.
We need to be able to give ourselves more grace in doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Just having a conversation, not what we see on TV, the bashing and the non supportive behaviors against women, black, white, Puerto Rican, or Asian, all of them.
Hmm. Hmm.
We need to have the conversations more often.
Mm-hmm.
We so broken, and not
Yeah.
just one or two.
And our
As a
young girls are
women,
broken even
as
more.
women, period, we
Hmm.
are so broken from something, person, or situation
Yep.
that we were just never taught how to recover, how to bounce back, and how to move forward.
Yes.
And it's time that we create platforms where this is not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
My
Absolutely.
second
I
thing is,
agree.
my second thing is we have a generation of
Mm-hmm.
young women
Mm-hmm.
coming up behind us
Yes.
that are so lost
Yes.
because somewhere along the line we dropped the ball. And if it ain't our kid, it's somebody else, your neighbor's kid, that we see things that we would have never been able to get away with. But we see things happening and we decide that it is no longer necessary to pull coats.
You can't
Boy,
talk to your
I had
neighbors.
neighbors.
You can't
I,
talk to your neighbors' kids.
I had neighbors who, if they saw me out of school when I wasn't supposed to be, not only did I get in trouble with them, but they told my mama, and I got in trouble with my mama too. We
Yep.
can't do that now.
Yep. They'll be ready to beat you up. The parents will be ready to beat you.
Yeah, my son's girlfriends though, they young adults, they're young 20s, and then my daughter, she'll be 20 in January.
Mhm. How she
I
doing?
pour into them. I
Yeah.
pour into them. I pour into them. I pour into them. And I give it to them like an IS is. I
Mm-hmm.
don't sugarcoat. I might hurt their feelings.
Yep.
Right. Oh
I
my
probably should apologize, but I don't because I'm gonna be your mama in the streets and I'm gonna be your mama behind closed doors. Because
Yes.
this is what it is. Ain't nobody out here trying to
None.
candy coat nothing for you.
Nothing.
Let me give it to you. Let me give you the game.
Yep.
I'm gonna give you the
My
game.
kids say to me, I work with kids, but my own kids say, "Are you this mean to the kids you work with?" I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, they get it worse,
Yeah.
probably. They
Yeah.
probably say the same thing. Like y'all ain't privileged. Y'all gonna get it too."
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
guys,
like,
I just want to thank you, my incredible guest, Shay Robinson. If
This
you,
has been fun.
Robertson, if you had just one last thought to give to people watching now and in the future, because it might be a replay, what would you say to them? Just one piece of advice.
It's
God.
never too late. It's never too late to start healing.
Okay.
Start today.
Miss Helena.
Choose your battles wisely.
Okay. And mine is give yourself permission to pause.
Yes.
Give yourself permission to pause. Okay. So, to my incredible guest, Shay, thank you for your honesty, your insight, and your inspiration. All right. To
Absolutely.
my co host, who will be here every week with me, Miss, when she can. I'll say that. Thank you for your story and your depth that you added to my episode. I'm so grateful for both of y'all for sharing. And to my amazing audience, thank you for showing up and engaging and being part of this wonderful conversation. Your energy fuels the talk that we need to have together. We are building something real. So let's keep rising through the storm. And I'm going to say this one word: rise through the storm together. Okay. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, LSTV. Let's talk. Ladies, your job is to share this post with everyone. Sunday nights on YouTube and Facebook, I post the upcoming show. But before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone your story matters. Every challenge you face has shaped your strength. If you're watching the replay, drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. And if this spoke to you, share it with someone who needs a little light today. Until next time, we are going to keep rising. Bye.
Bye.